Our selection today is Hold On. Hold on, just a little while longer. Hold on, just a little while longer. Hold on, just a little while longer. Everything will be alright. Everything will be alright. Hold on, just a little while longer. Hold on, just a little while longer. Hold on, just a little while longer. Everything will be alright. Everything will be alright. Hold on, just a little while longer. Hold on, just a little while longer. Hold on, just a little while longer. Everything will be alright. Everything will be alright. Walk on, just a little while longer. Whoa, walk on, just a little while longer. Walk on, just a little while longer. Everything will be alright. Everything will be alright. Pray on, just a little while longer. Whoa, pray on, just a little while longer. Pray on, just a little while longer. Everything will be alright. Everything will be alright. Sing on, just a little while longer. Sing on, just a little while longer. Oh, sing on, just a little while longer. Everything will be alright. Everything will be alright. Hold on, just a little while longer. Hold on, just a little while longer. Hold on, just a little while longer. Everything will be alright. Everything will be alright. Hold on, just a little while longer. Hold on, just a little while longer. Hold on, just a little while longer. Everything will be alright. Everything will be alright. Everything will be alright. Everything will be alright. Everything will be alright.
The oracles of the UCI. 1 Peter chapter 4, verses 7 through 11. But the end of all things is at hand. Be you therefore sober, and watch unto prayer. And above all things have fervent love among yourselves, for love shall cover the multitude of sins. Use hospitality one to another without grudging. As every man has received the gift, even so minister the same one to another, as good stewards of the manifold grace of Elohim. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of Elohim. If any man minister, let him do it as of the ability which Elohim gives, that Elohim in all things may be glorified through Yahshua the Mashiach, to whom be praise and dominion forever and ever. Amen. Ephesians chapter 4, verses 29 through chapter 5 and verse 4. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. And grieve not the Holy Spirit of Elohim, whereby you are sealed until the day of redemption. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be you kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as Elohim for Yahshua's sake has forgiven you. Be you therefore followers of Elohim, as dear children, and walk in love, as the Mashiach also have loved us, and has given himself for us an offering and sacrifice to Elohim for a sweet-smelling savor. But fornication and all uncleanness or covetousness, let it not be once named among you as become saints. Neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather giving of thanks. Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verses 1 and 2. Keep your foot when you go to the house of Elohim, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil. Be not rash with your mouth, and let not your heart be hasty to utter anything before Elohim. For Elohim is in heaven, and you upon earth, therefore let your words be few. Exodus chapter 23, verses 20 and 21. Behold, I send an angel before you to keep you in the way, and to bring you into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him, and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. Revelations chapter 3, verses 20 through 22. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him and will sup with him, and he with me. To him that overcomes will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I have also overcame and am sat down with my Father in his throne. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches.
All right, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Which is peace on Yahweh's Holy Sabbath Day. Welcome to another holy convocation that Yahweh has enjoined unto us here in Stone Mountain, Georgia. What we're going to deal with on this Sabbath day is Yahweh's great power of declaring the end before the beginning. And that deals with several things. You have, just in dealing with that statement, it's going to knock out some of the erroneous doctrine that floats about. You have this thing where you have these people on the corner telling you that, you can't prophesy with your head covered. So they believe that any kind of reading, any kind of doing of anything is prophesying. And Yahweh shows you what prophecy is when he says, I declared the end before the beginning. No amount of reading that we're going to do today is going to give you the ability to declare the end before the beginning. So when anybody says that you are prophesying because you're reading out of a book or something like that, you already know that that is a strange doctrine. But Yahweh's words show that it is a strange doctrine. But it also deals with some other things as well. We have been given a plethora of coverage about all of the things of the Holocaust, and they are meant to take your focus off of the things that Yahweh declared in the beginning. Yahweh had already declared the things that would happen unto the children of Israel. Well, the imposters know that those things are not written that have happened to them in this book. So then they have to control the narrative and play a sympathy card over and over and over. And anytime that you say something about it, then you must be anti-Semitic, you must be whatever. All of that is to get your focus off what is written in the Torah. Even our Sunday preachers help promote that erroneous doctrine. We have to remember, in the beginning, the first captivity of Israel had absolutely nothing to do with disobedience. And I don't think people understand that. Yahweh made us captives first, not because we had done anything wrong. He made us captives first so that you would have a point of reference, so that you would be able to understand the difference. Okay, now I let you serve man. That was pretty horrible, right? Okay, now I'm finna show you what you were created for, and that is to be servants unto me. And everything that was taken from us, he gave it back. And he gave it back 20, 30 fold. Everything that we went through, our ancestors were able to reap the benefits of the things that were taken generations before them. So Yahweh didn't make us captives in Egypt as a punishment. It was only a point of reference. So that you will appreciate what you are about to get. See, without going through some of those things, and if we just have an easy ride all the time, we start to take the easy ride for granted. We start to take the blessing for granted. We start to take everything that we receive as it's somebody's responsibility. They need to do this for me. They must do this for me. They must provide this for me. So Yahweh began the game so that he can give you a point of reference of what it's like to have to deal with all of the things of man. And then he offered you his glorious covenant. And all of those things that you had to work for, you wouldn't have to work for like that anymore. Let's begin today's sermon in Micah chapter 6. Micah chapter 6, and we're going to read verses 1 through 12.
Micah chapter 6 and verse 1. Hear you now what Yahweh says. Arise, contend you before the mountains, and let the hills hear your voice. Hear ye, O mountains, Yahweh's controversy, and you strong foundations of the earth. For Yahweh has a controversy with his people, and he will plead with Israel.
Right. When there's an issue, Yahweh deals with the issue. There's a controversy with his people, and he's going to plead with his people. Go ahead.
O my people, what have I done unto you? And wherein have I wearied you? Testify against me.
Right. Produce your cause, whereby you have gone about to deal with whatever it is you wanted to deal with. Go ahead.
For I brought you up out of the land of Egypt, and redeemed you out of the house of servants. And I sent before you Moshe, Aaron, and Miriam. O my people, remember now what Balak king of Moab consulted, and what Balaam the son of Beor answered him from Shittim unto Gilgal, that you may know the righteousness of Yah. Wherewith shall I come before Yahweh, and bow myself before the high Elohim? Shall I come before him with burnt offerings, with calves of a year old? Will Yahweh be pleased with thousands of rams, or with 10,000s of rivers of oil? Shall I give my firstborn for my transgression, the fruit of my body for the sin of my soul?
Will Yahweh be pleased with thousands of rams, or with 10,000s of rivers of oil? Shall I give my firstborn for my transgression, the fruit of my body for the sin of my soul? Obedience is better than all of that. Remember, all the stuff is his. There ain't nothing you're going to get him that wasn't already his. Go ahead.
He has showed you, O man, what is good, and what does Yah require of you, but to do justly, and to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your Elohim.
Right. So the things that we require as far as mercy and humbleness in dealing with us, we have to be able to offer that as well. Go ahead.
Yahweh's voice cries unto the city, and the man of wisdom shall see your name. Hear you the rod, and who has appointed it? Are there yet the treasures of wickedness in the house of the wicked, and the scant measure that is abominable?
Uh-huh.
Shall I count them pure with the wicked? Shall I count them pure with the wicked balances and with the bag of deceitful weights?
Right. If the people are buying corn, and they said, all right, we're going to buy 1 pound of corn, and then somebody show up with a 1 pound weight, but it ain't but a half a pound. It say 1 pound on it, but it ain't. Then the people are being deceived. And Yahweh said, shall I, pretend like this is righteous? Shall I just let this go? Shall you move on and continue to be in the land and prosper while you do deception? And because we've learned in the daughter of Babylon, we've learned to do deception with a straight face. See, Babylon taught us well. Go ahead.
For the rich men thereof are full of violence, and the inhabitants thereof have spoken lies, and their tongue is deceitful in their mouth.
Right. My elder used to say, I know when they lying because their lips move. And they lie with a straight face. They lie like it ain't nothing. And people who are trying to serve Yahweh, it hurts them to keep being in that situation. Yahweh said, I hate liars. But the daughter of Babylon has taught us something else. So we don't have any problem doing it whatsoever. But something's going to have to give. And it says the rich men are full of violence. Rich men are full of violence because it offers a way out. Not that the money itself is what defiles somebody's heart. It is the multiple opportunities that it gives you to do wrong. And people then walk in those multiple opportunities to do wrong. Brother, read this note here, because we mentioned some things in Bible study about this Epstein guy who is has been doing what he's been doing for quite some time. And the only reason it's being really brought to the table is that the guy who let him off is on Trump's cabinet. So then they're bringing up the things that he has allowed to happen, which then brought up Mr. Epstein's dirt. So go ahead right here.
In March 2005, a teenage girl's parents told the police in Palm Beach that she had been molested by Mr. Epstein. According to the Miami Herald and the New York Times, detectives followed up, and by October, the police had identified at least 21 possible victims.
Okay, stop. 21 possible, one person called, but they have then identified 21 possible victims. Go ahead.
And had executed a search of Mr. Epstein's house in Florida, the Herald said.
Now that's 2005. Go ahead.
Instead, the Palm Beach County State Attorney referred the case to a grand jury.
Now, a grand jury. This is those people who always end up getting these. This is the secret group of people that get together that decide that you need to face charges. But because it's a group of secret people, it can be manipulated by putting friends of whatever individual is there as the grand jury. Because there's no set grand jury. It is whomever they pick for that particular time. So this particular grand jury, instead of going to where it was supposed to go, they referred the case to a grand jury. This would give the opportunity for regular individuals to make this decision. Go ahead.
Which led to Mr. Epstein's indictment on one charge of soliciting prostitution.
You see how the evil helped the evil? 21 cases. And what he got was one case of soliciting prostitution. Wait a minute. We talking about underage. What are underage stuff at? Where's that? See, so when you talk about this wicked justice system, and let me tell you something. You can see where we learn the straight-faced lying. These folks show up in court looking all dignified, sitting up straight, suit and tie, like they ain't done a thing wrong. courtroom lined with victims. Go ahead.
The attorney's decision was criticized by Palm Beach's police chief, who accused prosecutors of giving Mr. Epstein special treatment, both the Times and the Herald reported. By 2007, federal prosecutors had prepared a 53-page indictment of Mr. Epstein. At the same time, according to court records obtained by the Herald, emails between Mr. Epstein's lawyers and prosecutors discussed a possible plea deal.
This is how the rich are allowed to keep doing evil. This is how they are full of violence. And our rich and other people rich ain't the same rich. See, we think we rich. No. One of his houses was like $53 million. Okay? So that ain't our rich. See, we got hood rich, and then you got other rich. This other rich. Go ahead.
In October 2007, Mr. Acosta met with one of Mr. Epstein's lawyers for breakfast, according to the Herald, during which they struck a deal that would help conceal the full accusations against Mr. Epstein and allow him to avoid a lengthy sentence. Mr. Epstein strikes an agreement while his accusers are left in the dark.
By the way, which is illegal, which is why they are saying that the guy who set up this should not even be allowed to be on the cabinet, because it was completely illegal, this deal anyway. But this is what money buys you in the daughter of Babylon. Go ahead.
It took months for the deal, a non-prosecution agreement, to be finalized.
This is what happens for the wicked in the daughter of Babylon. A non-prosecution agreement. Meanwhile, there were at least 21 victims, but he's only got, one, maybe two charges. Go ahead.
All the while, Mr. Epstein's accusers were told the investigation was ongoing.
Same thing they tell us when we call. We're investigating. The investigation is ongoing. Well, what's happening with the case? It's ongoing. Go ahead.
And the FBI continued its work.
Now, FBI. Now, this shows you the level of evil that happens in the daughter of Babylon. There's one thing that we know in the hood. Whenever the alphabet people come for you, you gone. Okay, that's one thing we know. You might be able to corrupt a little local sheriff department if you in a little, town, Willacoochee, Georgia. Maybe you might be able to get over the people in Willacoochee. But when them alphabet people come for you, we pretty much know, we going to the big house. You know what I'm saying? That one on top of the hill up there with the fence around it, that's where we going when them alphabet boys show up. Keep reading.
In June 2008, Mr. Epstein pleaded guilty to state charges of solicitation of prostitution and solicitation of prostitution with a minor.
State charges. Go ahead.
He was sentenced to 18 months in jail and was required to register as a sex offender after his release.
Now, before you think that is just appalling, wait, there's more. Read.
Mr. Epstein's victims have said the prosecutors did not tell them about the deal, even though federal law required they be told of major developments involving their complaints. Two of Mr. Epstein's victims filed a lawsuit against the federal government, accusing them of violating their rights. Mr. Epstein entered the Palm Beach County Jail, not a state prison or federal facility, in July 2008. While there, he was allowed to leave the facility 6 days a week to work out of his office.
Oh, I know y'all was going to like that. I knew y'all was going to like that. He in jail, but he get to leave 6 days a week. He spent more time out of jail than he did in. That's Babylon for you. And then when you get to that, you have to also deal with the next part of this. And if you didn't get the reference or the name, of course, Epstein is Jewish. Okay, now this Jewish man is also connected to Ehud Barak, which is the one running or trying to take Netanyahu's place in Israel. He has helped this man start businesses, so that you understand this wickedness that the Ish do, they spread it all around the earth. But if you're in a certain place, if we was 501c3, them people would be standing outside ready to lock me up for the stuff that I just read. Consider that. That they pass laws so people can't say what it is they do. Or else, we must be anti-Semitic. Because this stuff comes from New York Times and Miami Herald. But if you read it in a place of worship and you got that 501c thing going on, them folks going to be knocking at your door. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 46. See, even when we do wrong, we don't do that kind of wrong. Think about how long it has taken them to even get R. Kelly. Why was that? Money. This man was doing the same thing, buying off the witnesses. Same thing R. Kelly was doing. He got time to go to court. He'd end up paying the family or doing some things. But they got this man with trafficking at this point. One of the counts is that he paid a young girl to be with Prince Andrew, the one who's married to Fergie. Oh, they do all kind of twisted stuff. Now understand this is Epstein. Don't forget about now we had the Weinstein who has basically raped everybody in Hollywood. Now, ain't that one of them Steens went to jail? Just thought I'd point that out to you. There ain't no Steen in jail at this particular moment. The Steens are still walking free. Right. Isaiah chapter 46. And let's read verses 1 through 13.
Baal bows down, Nebo stoops. Their idols were upon the beast and upon the cattle. Their carriages were heavy loaden. They are a burden to the weary beast. They stoop, they bow down together. They could not deliver the burden, but themselves are gone into captivity. Hearken unto me, O house of Jacob, and all the remnant of the house of Israel, which are born by me from the belly, which are carried from the womb. And even to your old age am I he, and even to hoar hairs will I carry you.
Gray hairs. Go ahead.
I have made, and I will bear, even I will carry, and I will deliver you. To whom will you liken me, and make me equal, and compare me, that we may be like?
The same thing that our people wanted to do coming out of Egypt. We wanted to try to find something that we can liken Yahweh to. So we had seen the bulls of Egypt. We had seen those things. So that's why the very first opportunity they got, they said, hey, look, Israel, here go your gods that delivered you out of Egypt. Why would the Egyptian God deliver you out of Egypt? Egyptian God wants you to stay in Egypt. He's an Egyptian God. Go ahead.
They lavish gold out of the bag, and weigh silver in the balance, and hire a goldsmith, and he maketh it a god. They fall down, yea, they worship. They bear him upon the shoulder, they carry him, and set him in his place, and he stands. From his place shall he not remove. Yea, one shall cry unto him, yet can he not answer, nor save him out of his trouble. Remember this, and show yourselves men. Bring it again to mind, O you transgressors. Remember the former things of old, for I am Elohim, and there's none else. I am Elohim, and there's none like me. Declaring the end before the beginning, and from ancient times the things that are not yet done, saying, my counsel shall stand, and I will do all my pleasure.
Now understand, the adversary, the devil, is there in the beginning. The adversary knows how the setup is in heaven. So when there's a situation, of course, the adversary knows how to corrupt things here on earth, saying that, okay, Yahweh is one that declares this end from the beginning. So I'm going to get out and set up some things before he has his opportunity to set up. So this is why people will come to you and say, well, we can find certain stories in the Epic of Gilgamesh, and we can find this in other, evil writings that these things came before the Bible. Right? The adversary of the devil, take off. and gives as much twisted information as he possibly can so that he can manipulate things his way. And I don't know why, that's so hard to grasp. Even though Cain was a murderer, Yahweh still let him live. The murderer set up things on the earth before the righteous did. And then Yahweh wouldn't let nobody kill him. So I don't know why that is such a strange concept to people. Go ahead.
Calling a ravenous bird from the east, the man that executed my counsel from a far country. Yea, I have spoken it. I will also bring it to pass. I have purposed it. I will also do it.
I have spoken it. I will also bring it to pass. See, we can trust on Yahweh's word, no matter how long it takes for him to fulfill his word. That's what normally throws us, because his time and our time ain't the same kind of time. Go ahead.
Hearken unto me, you stout-hearted that are far from righteousness, and bring near my righteousness. It shall not be far off. My salvation shall not tarry, and I'll place salvation in Zion for Israel, my glory.
Israel is my glory, says Yahweh. I will bring near my righteousness, it shall not be far off, and my salvation shall not tarry. And I will place salvation in Zion for Israel, my glory. People have an issue with that. But their issue is with Yahweh. Their issue is not with us. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 30. Deuteronomy chapter 30, and we're going to start that at verse 1.
Deuteronomy chapter 30 and verse 1. And it shall come to pass, when all these things are come upon you, the blessing and the curse.
The one thing that people do not want to talk about, all they want to talk about is blessing, blessing, blessing. The blessings of Israel. The blessings of Israel. There's something else that was given to that. The curse. And how in the world we get talked into dealing with the blessing only when there's more writings about the curse than it is the blessing. Go ahead.
Which I have set before you, and you shall call them to mind among all the nations, where the Yahweh your Elohim has driven you. And shall return unto Yahweh your Elohim, and shall obey his voice according to all that I command you this day, you and your children, with all your heart and with all your soul.
Right. So with everything in us, that is how we're supposed to go at our service and worship with Yahweh. With all your heart and with all your soul. The problem is most of us don't know what that is. That is your full ability of what you can do. That is what's offered unto Yahweh. Go ahead.
Verse 3. That then Yahweh your Elohim will turn your captivity and have compassion upon you, and will return and gather you from all the nations where the Yahweh your Elohim has scattered you.
Yahweh is declaring this from the beginning. That because you were created to be servants, I then gave you servitude first, not because of disobedience. We were not in Egypt because of disobedience. That is one thing that the Sunday morning pork chop pimp up there ain't gonna tell you. That had absolutely nothing to do with disobedience. He was trying to give you a point of reference. He didn't give you a law until he got ready to give you a land. The law was not your bondage. You had bondage before the law. See, you gotta listen to the manipulative words and know when you're dealing with a manipulator. Because they're trying to push their agenda, their objective. We were already in bondage. The law didn't do that to us. He didn't give us law until we got free. But that's not what you're going to hear on Sunday morning. As you're flipping through the channels, oh, they dealing with that bondage. That is a trick of the devil. Go ahead.
If any of yours be driven out onto the utmost parts of heaven, from thence will Yahweh your Elohim gather you.
So he's already talking about the things that are going to happen to the children of Israel. Now, Yahweh has said he is one that declares the end from the beginning. So y'all stop me when we get to the Holocaust. All right. So we're going to read some stuff here because Yahweh, this is what he does. Okay. He declares the end from the beginning. So when we get to the Holocaust, I need y'all to stop. There you go, stop. All right. Y'all let me know. Go ahead.
And from thence will he fetch you. And Yahweh your Elohim will bring you into the land which your fathers possessed, and you shall possess it. And he will do you good and multiply you above your fathers. And Yahweh your Elohim will circumcise your heart and the heart of your seed to love Yahweh your Elohim with all your heart and with all your soul, that you may live.
Right. So you have this thing. Yahweh is already on a spiritual level, even here in the Old Testament. While we're dealing with Old Testament law, he's already on a spiritual plane talking about circumcising your heart. That is not something that's done physically. That's a spiritual thing. If it's in your heart, you don't need all of these other things to remind you to keep the law. You don't need all these other things to remind you to do right. Go ahead.
And Yahweh your Elohim will put all these curses upon your enemies and on them that hate you, which persecuted you.
So, understanding that the adversary then makes sure that the little evil people that he used understands the power on how to use it against you. So then their power is, okay, I got to make sure that these people don't return unto Yahweh. So as long as they don't return unto Yahweh, I have power over them. I can rule over them with rigor. I just need to keep them dealing with Lord and Jesus. And as long as they do, I got them. They ain't never going to be able to call on no power that's going to really help. Go ahead.
Verse 8, and you shall return and obey the voice of Yah, and do all his commandments which I command you this day. And Yahweh your Elohim will make you plenteous in every work of your hand, in the fruit of your body, and in the fruit of your cattle, and in the fruit of your land, for good. For Yahweh will again rejoice over you for good, as he rejoiced over your fathers. If you shall hearken unto the voice of Yahweh your Elohim, to keep his commandments and his statutes, which are written in this book of the law, and if you turn unto Yahweh your Elohim with all your heart and with all your soul, for this commandment which I command you this day, it is not hidden from you, neither is it afar off. It is not in heaven, that you should say, who shall go up for us to heaven and bring it unto us, that we may hear it and do it. Neither is it beyond the sea, that you should say, who shall go over the sea for us and bring it unto us, that we may hear it and do it. But the word is very near unto you, in your mouth and in your heart, that you may do it.
The word is very near unto you, in your mouth and in your heart. Yahweh had the children of Israel go through the law every 7 years. So by the time you are a man that's 20 years old, he is about to go through his third time of hearing this law. How can you require somebody to follow something that they don't know what it is? What kind of sense does that make? That's how you know this place is wicked, because they pass laws and nobody tells us what the law is until we broke it. Sir, you do know that's against the law. No, I didn't know that was against. When did y'all do that? Oh, we did that 5 years ago. Well, who did y'all tell? The other people who was in the room when we made it? That wasn't but 12 of y'all. How was the rest of us supposed to know that that was illegal? I mean, I'm telling you now, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say, what? That's how I found out. They don't want you to keep the law because they make money when you break it. Yahweh operates totally different. He wants you to be able to keep the law. So he's constantly going to make sure that you hear it. So you have to wonder, why would anybody keep something from you unless they're trying to deceive you? Yahweh don't operate like that. And then he's going to make you stand up and read it. Read it yourself. Read it yourself. Okay, now read it again. Okay, now read it again. So when you on the way to stealing, You should hear it in your, thou shalt not. Oh man, that ain't my stuff. That is not my stuff. But see, you should hear your own words. You shouldn't hear Yahweh. See, he make you say it. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not steal. So when you on your way, that should be you. Shouldn't be some, James Earl Jones voice.
Thou shalt not steal, Simba.
That ain't what you're supposed to hear.
Simba, put that back.
No, that ain't what you're supposed to hear. You're supposed to hear you. And if you ain't hearing you ain't said it enough. Go ahead.
Verse 15. See, I have set before you this day life and good and death and evil. In that I command you this day to love Yahweh your Elohim, to walk in his ways, and to keep his commandments and his statutes and his judgments, that you may live and multiply. And Yahweh your Elohim shall bless you in the land whether you goeth to possess it.
Mm-hmm.
But if your heart turn away, so that you will not hear, but shall be drawn away and worship other gods and serve them, I denounce unto you this day that you shall surely perish, and that you shall not prolong your days upon the land, whether you pass it over Jordan to possess it.
So the imposters know, all right, if we can give them other gods to worship, they're going to lose the land, and then we can get it. Go in the hood of Atlanta and see what's happening. The same houses that were left because of white flight, they're coming back and getting those houses, taking the property value up. They'll go over there and pay $150,000 for a crack house. And everybody like, yeah, well, who would pay $150,000 for that crack house? But there's a method to the madness. Because paying $150,000 for that crack house just made all the other value of the homes go up, which is also going to increase the tax revenue that they're going to have to pay at the end of the year. So now these people are losing humongous, nice houses in decent areas now, because all of it's changing, for pennies on the dollar. All because they sold the one at a high rate. This is the game. They learn how to play the game. Well, they've been learning how to play the game. Keep them from learning about Yahweh. Make sure that they don't understand certain things, and we get to keep ruling over them. That's why in the civil rights movement, you see us, we marching, we shall overcome. There was a group of Jewish standing right over to the left. Yeah, y'all do that. Because we need for y'all to desegregate. We need y'all to, because see right now y'all segregated. That means all your power in one place. That means if y'all keep doing this, y'all gonna get power. So let me help y'all divide so we can conquer. Go ahead.
Deuteronomy chapter 30 and verse 19. I call heaven and earth to record this day against you, that I have set before you life and death, blessing and cursing. Therefore choose life, that both you and your seed may live, that you may love Yahweh your Elohim, and that you may obey his voice, and that you may cleave unto him. For he is your life and the length of your days, that you may dwell in the land which Yahweh sware unto your fathers, to Abraham, to Esau, and to Jacob, to give them.
All right, let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 25.
Deuteronomy chapter 25, starting at verse 13. You shall not have in your bag diverse weights, a great and a small.
Right, because what you're doing is you're preparing a situation of deception. Why do you have diverse weights? Why do you have something that says 2 pounds but it's really 1? Why do you have something that says it's 3 pounds but it's 1.5? Why would you have that? Because you're preparing for deception. I don't know where my son heard it from, but he asked me this morning. He said, is scamming illegal? So who in the hell talked to you about scamming? What? Well, I'm just asking. What? No, man, I need to know where you heard scamming at. So I'm sitting here like, has he been going through my class? What? How he know? What? Yes, scamming is illegal. It is deception. This is what I get hit with at the breakfast table this morning. Scamming. You playing, right? But it lets you know what floats around amongst these kids. That back in our days, the biggest hustle was drugs. Oh no, these dudes here got all kind of bad check schemes. They got return schemes. They got all kind of schemes that they make money off now. So scamming is they think that's a cooler way of doing evil. So let me go ahead and take care of this right now. Yes, it is illegal because it is deception. You have to go and pretend to be one thing when you're something else. It is deception. If you are offering some individual a false version of you, it is deception. I don't care how you package it. And it's evil. Go ahead.
You shall not have in your house divers measures, a great and a small, but you shall have a perfect and just weight. A perfect and just measure shall you have, that your days may be lengthened in the land which Yahweh your Elohim gives you. For all that do such things, and all that do unrighteously, are an abomination unto Yahweh your Elohim.
And there's a reason why that was left there in a form that didn't pinpoint a particular thing. Because we will pinpoint that particular thing and say, you see, this thing is evil. He always said, no. When you go about to deceive, it's evil. When you lead people to believe one thing, and that really ain't what it is, it's evil. That's why he left it there like that. Go ahead.
Remember what Amalek did unto you by the way, when you were come forth out of Egypt, how he met you by the way, and smote the hindmost of you, even all that were feeble behind you, when you was faint and weary, and he feared not Elohim. Therefore it shall be, when Yahweh Elohim has given you rest from all your enemies round about, in the land which Yahweh Elohim gives you for an inheritance to possess it, that you shall blot out the remembrance of Amalek from under heaven. You shall not forget it.
So this is stated here in Deuteronomy chapter 25, that these things need to happen unto Amalek. So these are things that are being given by Moshe. But what you have to do sometimes is remember when Yahweh said something and then see how long it takes before he deals with it. This is what gives us the belief that Yahweh is on our side with our mess. This is what gives us the belief that it is okay with Yahweh. And people think, hey, I've gotten away with it. Yahweh just pausing. He said, oh, I didn't like what Amalek did. We're going to deal with Amalek. Let's go to Exodus chapter 17. Exodus 17, and we're going to read verses 1 through 16.
Verse 1. And all the congregation of the children of Israel journeyed from the wilderness of Sin, after their journeys according to the commandment of Yah, and pitched in Rephidim. And there was no water for the people to drink. Wherefore the people did chide with Moshe, and said, Give us water that we may drink. And Moshe said unto them, Why chide you with me? Wherefore do you tempt Yahweh?
We chide with you because you the one we see. That's what we do. Go ahead.
And the people thirsted there for water. And the people murmured against Moshe, and said, Wherefore is this that you have brought us up out of Egypt, to kill us and our children and our cattle with thirst? And Moshe cried unto Yah, saying, What shall I do unto this people? They be almost ready to stone me.
Right. This Israel. So this is the thing that you have to learn about your own people. And this is something you ain't going to get at Israelite pet rallies. See, you're going to be dancing and having yourself a good time and singing your Shema. But as soon as something don't work, them same Shema folk going to be ready to stone you to death. You got to get in this book so you ready. I ain't telling you not to dance in Shema, but you better be Shema and looking around. You better be, boy, you better be getting your Shema on and just be watching. Hey, what you doing, boy? Hey, move like that again. I'm going to show you something. You better be ready. Know your folk. The worst thing you can do is not know your own folk. Act like you don't know your folk. Go ahead.
And Yahweh said unto Moshe, Go on before the people, and take with you of the elders of Israel, and your rod wherewith you smoteth the river, take in your hand and go. Behold, I will stand before you there upon the rock in Horeb, and you shall smite the rock, and there shall come water out of it, that the people may drink. And Moshe did so in the sight of the elders of Israel. And he called the name of the place Massah and Meribah, because of the chiding of the children of Israel, and because they tempted Yah, saying, Is Yahweh among us or not?
And you see what makes us get to that point. When we're not getting what we want, Yahweh must not be there. Where Yahweh at? He must not be here. Everything ain't working the way I want it to work. He must not be here. So we don't give Yahweh any opportunity to work and build upon us. Because all we're thinking about is what we want. And why we don't have what we want right now. Go ahead.
Then came Amalek and fought with Israel in Rephidim. And Moshe said unto Joshua, Choose us out men, and go out. Fight with Amalek. Tomorrow I will stand on the top of the hill with the rod of Elohim in mine hand. So Joshua did as Moshe had said to him, and fought with Amalek. And Moshe, Aaron, and Hur went up to the top of the hill. And it came to pass, when Moshe held up his hand, that Israel prevailed. And when he let down his hand, Amalek prevailed.
Now, you have to look and examine the whole thought process of what's happening here. The rod that was given unto Moshe represents the law of Yahweh. It is the power, the staff of Yahweh. And as long as Yahweh is upheld, Israel wins. When the rod is let down, Israel loses. Now I'm going to need you to rattle that around in your cage for a minute. You want to win? You got to understand what you got to lift up. And if you're losing, understand why. Read.
But Moshe's hands were heavy, and they took a stone and put it under him, and he sat thereon. And Aaron and Hur stayed up his hands, the one on the one side and the other on the other side, and his hands were steady until the going down of the sun. And Joshua discomfited Amalek and his people with the edge of the sword. And Yahweh said unto Moshe, Write this for a memorial in a book, and rehearse it in the ears of Joshua, for I will utterly put out the remembrance of Amalek from under heaven.
So this is something that's saying, okay, yeah, we done had a little issue with them, but these people right here, I want gone. Go ahead.
And Moshe built an altar, and called the name of it Yahweh Nisi. For he said, Because Yahweh has sworn that Yahweh will have war with Amalek from generation to generation.
Yahweh will have war with Amalek from generation to generation. But utterly, he's going to eventually end up destroying them. Okay? So, keep that in your mind. Let's go to Numbers chapter 24. Numbers 24, and we're going to read verses 1 through 20.
And when Balaam saw that it pleased Yahweh to bless Israel, he went not, as at other times, to seek for enchantments, but he set his face toward the wilderness. And Balaam lifted up his eyes, and he saw Israel abiding in his tents according to their tribes. And the spirit of Elohim came upon him. And he took up his parable and said, Balaam the son of Beor hath said, and the man whose eyes are open hath said, he hath said, which heard the words of Elohim, which saw the vision of the Almighty, falling into a trance, but having his eyes open. How goodly are your tents, O Jacob, and your tabernacles, O Israel. As the valleys are, they spread forth, as gardens by the riverside, as the trees of line aloes with Yahweh hath planted, and as cedar trees beside the waters. He shall pour the water out of his buckets, and his seed shall be in many waters, and his king shall be higher than Agag, and his kingdom shall be exalted. Elohim brought him forth out of Egypt. He has, as it were, the strength of an unicorn. He shall eat up the nations, his enemies, and shall break their bones, and pierce them through with his arrows. He couched, he lay down as a lion, and as a great lion, who shall stir him up? Blessed is he that blesses you, and cursed is he that curses you. And Balak's anger was kindled against Balaam, and he smote his hands together. And Balak said unto Balaam, I called you to curse mine enemies, and behold, you have altogether blessed them these 3 times. Therefore now flee you to your place. I thought to promote you unto great honor, but lo, Yahweh has kept you back from honor.
People would talk all kind of mess in Yahweh's name. Do understand? Everybody that's talking about Yahweh don't worship and serve Yahweh. Every little evil they do, they want to say, well, you know, this is what Yahweh want, because it's what they want. Because they think Yahweh is altogether such a one as themselves. Go ahead.
And Balaam said unto Balak, Spake I not also to your messengers which you sent unto me, saying, If Balak would give me his house full of silver and gold, I cannot go beyond the commandment of Yah, to do either good or bad of mine own. But what Yahweh says, that will I speak.
What Yahweh says, that will I speak. So if you looking to hear some nice smooth words to make you feel good about whatever that is you're doing, you got to the wrong place. You should have kept going down the street. Go ahead.
And now, behold, I go unto my people. Come therefore, and I will advertise you what this people shall do to your people in the latter days.
I'm going to tell you what this people going to do to your people. Go ahead.
And he took up his parable and said, Balaam the son of Beor had said, and the man whose eyes are open had said, he had said, which heard the words of Elohim and knew the knowledge of the Most High, which saw the vision of the Almighty, falling into a trance, but having his eyes open. I shall see him, but not now. I shall behold him, but not near. There shall come a star out of Jacob, and a scepter shall rise out of Israel.
A star out of Jacob is Yahshua. So that whole Star of David lie that they keep trying to tell, that talking about that this symbol is the Star of David, that's the star of your little God that you worship. You can take that and go somewhere. See? Now they got us walking around with gold medallions of death hanging around our neck. Talking about, yeah, we Jews. Well, that ain't no Star of David. Star of David is Yahshua. When it was a time for his birth, what did they say? They saw a star. It moved. What kind of star moved like that? Star of David. That's a lie. See? And they're real good at their lies. They place their lies everywhere. So you get accustomed to them and think they normal. Go ahead.
And shall smite the corners of Moab, and destroy all the children of Seth. And Edom shall be a possession. Seir also shall be a possession for his enemies.
So now he's going into to some broad things. He's talking about Edom. See, what you have to do is back up and figure out who Balak is. See? So when he starts talking about Edom, you got to get a little bit more understanding there. Go ahead.
And Israel shall do valiantly. Out of Jacob shall come he that shall have dominion, and shall destroy him that remaineth of the city. And when he looked on Amalek, he took up his parable, and said, Amalek was the first of the nations, but his latter end shall be that he perisheth forever.
His latter end shall be that he perish forever. So now, let's go to Genesis chapter 36. And we're going to see who this Amalek is. And we're also going to see something that sounds awfully familiar to another situation that we have recently read about. Genesis chapter 36 and verses 1 through 8.
Verse 1. Now these are the generations of Esau, who is Edom.
These are the generations of Esau, who is Edom. Go ahead.
Esau took his wives of the daughters of Canaan, Ada the daughter of Elon the Hittite, and Aholibamah the daughter of Anah the daughter of Zibeon the Hivite.
Now, first of all, listen to these names. Don't these names sound, wait a minute, Hivite, Hittite? You mean everybody who we had problems with? Edom, Esau, has merged with those people. Pay attention. So the level of hatred that Esau has for us is magnified in a way that you cannot understand. He has actually gotten with other people who got problems with us. Go ahead.
And Bashmath, Ishmael's daughter, sister of Nebaioth, and Ada bare to Esau Eliphaz, and Bashmath bare Ruel, and Aholibamah bare Uesh, and Yalam, and Korah. These are the sons of Esau, which were born unto him in the land of Canaan. And Esau took his wives, and his sons, and his daughters, and all the persons of his house, and his cattle, and all his beasts, and all his substance, which he had gotten in the land of Canaan, and went into the country from the face of his brother Yaakov.
So here it is, the same type of situation that we have between Abram and Lot. You now find Esau leaves on his own. He said, because this land is just not conducive for the both of us, and nobody forced him out. He left on his own. But to this day, he still feels some kind of way about the land that he walked away from. Because in his heart and mind, he still believes it's his. So this is a forever argument that is only going to be answered by war. That's the only way it's going to be answered. Ain't no talking this out. Ain't no conversation going to help this. He walked out, but he has some indignation here. Go ahead and finish that up.
For their riches were more than that they might dwell together, and the land wherein they were strangers could not bear them because of their cattle. Thus dwelt Esau in Mount Seir. Esau is Edom.
Esau is Edom, and we see that these people then have walked out of this. I want you to go a little bit further down.
And these are the generations of Esau, the father of the Edomites in Mount Seir. These are the names of Esau's sons: Eliphaz, the son of Ada, the wife of Esau; Ruel, the son of Bashmath, the wife of Esau. And the sons of Eliphaz were Teman, Omar, Zepho, Gatam, and Kenaz. And Timnah was concubine to Eliphaz, Esau's son, and she bare to Eliphaz Amalek. These were the sons of Ada, Esau's wife.
Right. So then we understand that Amalek is a descendant of Esau and Edom. So when you start looking at that, understand the levels of hatred that are going on there. So, and Yahweh has spoken multiple things against this seed of Esau. Understand, now he's dealing with his descendants and said, I'm going to wipe them out too. So as you start reading this, understand that these things go in levels. Now Yahweh said he's going to do all these things in the beginning. So now let's go to 1 Samuel chapter 15. First Samuel chapter 15, and let's start that at verse 1.
Verse 1. Samuel also said unto Saul, Yahweh sent me to anoint you to be king over his people, over Israel. Now therefore hearken you unto the voice of the words of Yah.
Now, the children of Israel asked for a king. Now, a king has certain duties. He has certain duties to orchestrate the righteous judgment of Yahweh, our Elohim. So at the point that they asked for a king, they really didn't understand what it is they was asking for. Yahweh was saying, you don't need a king at this point. I'm your king. He said, no. This is what we want. Not understanding, all right, when a king come here, do you understand the job that he's going to have to do? So now they get what they asked for, but then there's other things that have to happen. Go ahead.
Thus says Yahweh of hosts, I remember that which Amalek did to Israel, how he laid wait for him in the way when he came up from Egypt.
When he came up from Egypt. So now Yahweh is talking about dealing with the judgment of this thing that happened a long time ago. Oh, but y'all got a king now. No. Kings go to war. No. This is what you asked me for. Remember? Remember that? And I told y'all, no. What? Why don't you just wait? I'm your king. No. We heard what you said, but we want us a king anyway. All right. So now, take care of this business. You got a king. I need you to go execute righteous judgment. Go take care of Amalek. This is a long time issue. See? Now, of course, Amalek is multiplied, did whatever he did. Of course, he think Yahweh done forgot about me. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nothing happening to me. Go ahead.
Now go and smite Amalek, and utterly destroy all that they have, and spare them not, but slay both man and woman, infant and suckling, ox and sheep, camel and ass.
Yahweh said go kill everything of Amalek. And understand, this is a descendant of Esau. So when you start examining this, you understand when Yahweh says, Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated. You need to understand the levels in which he hates Esau. He hates Esau's dealings. And when you look out in the world and you see the straight-faced lying, the deception where you go into business with one of these individuals, and in 2 or 3 years, you work for them in your own business because they have completely deceived you. Y'all watch Power? The black drug dealer ended up working for the white Jewish guy and his stuff. Oh, y'all got Facebook. The white Jewish dude was supposed to be helping another white guy from Harvard set it up. What did he do? He set himself up. Yahweh said, I hate them. Why? Because of how they operate in smooth deception. He says, I hate them. They have straight faces while they lie and deceive and steal and kill. But they look like upstanding members of the community while doing it. So understand the level of hatred that Yahweh has. Go ahead.
And Saul gathered the people together and numbered them in Telaim, 200,000 footmen and 10,000 men of Yehudah. And Saul came to a city of Amalek and laid wait in the valley. And Saul said unto the Kenites, Go, depart, get you down from among the Amalekites, lest I destroy you with them. For you showed kindness to all the children of Israel when they came up out of Egypt. So the Kenites departed from among the Amalekites. And Saul smote the Amalekites from Havilah until you cometh to Shur, that is, over against Egypt. And he took Agag, the king of the Amalekites, alive, and utterly destroyed all the people with the edge of the sword. But Saul and the people spared Agag and the best of the sheep, and of the oxen, and of the fatlings, and the lambs, and all that was good, and would not utterly destroy them. But everything that was vile and refuse, that they destroyed utterly.
In other words, he did what he wanted to do. The message was pretty clear. Go and destroy everything that breathes. But understand, this has some long time situation. Now, understand what Saul has done. Saul is about to make a liar out of Yahweh. Yahweh has already said what was going to happen unto this group of people. Saul has half done the job. So does Yahweh become a liar because of something you wanted to do? Because of something that you felt, believed? So now this job is not done. But Yahweh has already spoken about this job a long time ago. So now does it get to the point that people now believe Yahweh must not have been able to do that what he said? Because you see they still rocking around him. Go ahead.
Then came the word of Yahweh unto Samuel, saying, It repent me that I have set up Saul to be king, for he is turned back from following me, and has not performed my commandments. And it grieved Samuel, and he cried unto Yah all night.
Right. Yahweh, just like us, we make decisions and do some things, and at a point, we look back and say, man, that was a bad decision. It repenteth me that I have made the decision to enter into an agreement with this idiot. Yahweh did the same thing. It repenteth me that I have set you up, king. You have a serious issue with following instructions. Go ahead.
And when Samuel rose early to meet Saul in the morning, it was told Samuel, saying, Saul came to Carmel, and behold, he set him up a place, and is gone about, and passed on, and gone down to Gilgal. And Samuel came to Saul, and Saul said unto him, Blessed be you of Yah. I have performed the commandments of Yah.
Right. Yah be praised. I done took care of that business. Man, you lack understanding. Go ahead.
And Samuel said, What means then this bleating of the sheep in mine ears, and the lowing of the oxen which I hear? And Saul said, They have brought them from the Amalekites, for the people spared the best of the sheep and of the oxen,
right,
to sacrifice unto Yahweh
they
Elohim.
Did. Them and them. They did. You know them. You know what you mean? What your name now? They did it. See? That way we ain't got to take responsibility for the decisions that we've made. We don't have to take responsibility for the things that we've done. They did it. You know that you know the people now. They spared them. Go ahead.
And the rest we have utterly destroyed. Then Samuel said unto Saul, Stay, and I will tell you what Yahweh has said to me this night. And he said unto him, Say on. And Samuel said, When you was little in your own sight, was you not made the head of the tribes of Israel, and Yahweh anointed you king over Israel? And Yahweh sent you on a journey, and said, Go and utterly destroy the sinners, the Amalekites, and fight against them until they be consumed. Wherefore then did you not obey the voice of Yah, but did fly upon the spoil, and did evil in the sight of Yahweh?
Right. You went to go get the stuff. I told you to go in there and tear up everything. See, this is an issue that I've long time had with Amalek. Now you have been set up as a king. You have to do my bidding. And now you're going to make me a liar right off the rip? Like you? That ain't going to work. Go ahead.
And Saul said unto Samuel, Yea, I have obeyed the voice of Yahweh.
Right.
And have gone the way.
I did it.
And have gone the way which Yahweh sent me, and have brought Agag the king of Amalek, and have utterly destroyed the Amalekites.
He don't know what utterly means. Say you lack understanding. See, a half-done job is a job that wasn't done at all. You might well not even go. Go ahead.
But the people took of the spoil sheep and oxen.
There go them again.
the chief of the things which should have been utterly destroyed, to sacrifice unto Yahweh Elohim in Gilgal.
Right. So I did deception for your good, Yahweh. See that's why I deceived you. I deceived you so I can offer some offerings up to you. Right. Go ahead.
And Samuel said, as Yahweh is great delight in burnt offerings and sacrifices, as in obeying the voice of Yah,
Right.
behold, to obey is better than sacrifice,
To obey is better than sacrifice.
and to hearken than the fat of rams.
Right. You had a better offering in obedience than being disobedient and bringing me all this stuff. Go ahead.
For rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft.
Rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft. Check that out. You shall not suffer a witch to live. But rebellion is disobedience constantly. See, we all gonna get into a situation where we don't meet up to the great expectations that Yahweh has had for us. That's one thing. But when we make a decision that we're gonna do it in continuance, no, that's witchcraft. Go ahead.
And stubbornness is as lawlessness and idolatry.
Stubbornness, you can't tell us nothing. And ain't nothing you gonna be able to say that's gonna cause us to turn from this path that we on. And we know the path wrong. We know what we're doing is wrong. But stubbornness, I'm going to keep going this way until it kills me. Go ahead.
Because you have rejected the word of Yah, he has also rejected you from being king. And Saul said unto Samuel, I have sinned, for I have transgressed the commandment of Yah and your words, because I feared the people and obeyed their voice.
Right. Now, physically, he was a big, strong brother. But inside, he feared the people. See, fear make you make some real dumb decisions. So, although he looked like the great warrior type, inside was marshmallows and powdered sugar. Go ahead, bro.
Now therefore, I pray you, pardon my sin, and turn again with me, that I may worship Yah.
Now look at what he want.
And Samuel said unto Saul, I will not return with you, for you have rejected the word of Yah, and Yahweh has rejected you from being king over Israel. And as Samuel turned about to go away, he laid hold upon the skirt of his mantle, and it rent.
So he holding on to this man's clothes so much that it tears, because he need a certain thing to happen in front of the people. Go ahead.
And Samuel said unto him, Yahweh has rent the kingdom of Israel from you this day, and has given it to a neighbor of yours that is better than you.
Right. So Yahweh already had somebody that was better than him sitting in the same area. While he just letting him go ahead and do what he got to do. I already got your replacement. So you go ahead and keep on doing what you're doing. But I already got the person that's going to replace you. Go ahead.
And also the strength of Israel will not lie nor repent, for he is not a man that he should repent. Then he said, I have sinned, yet honor me now, I pray you, before the elders of my people.
Right, while everybody looking though, I know I done evil, but while everybody looking, come and stand with me before the people. So I still look good amongst the people because I got the preserved face. Go ahead.
And before Israel, and turn again with me, that I may worship Yahweh your Elohim. So Samuel turned again after Saul, and Saul worshipped Yahweh. Then said Samuel, bring you hither to me Agag, the king of the Amalekites.
Right. So you want me to go and present this face for you. See, because that's what's important to you, presenting the look of a certain thing. But you know what? You have to wonder. At first I'm like, why Samuel go and let him present this face to go and worship like he's still in good standings with Yahweh? But Samuel had a job to do. Yeah, I'll go back. Let you look like you taking care of Yahweh's business. But I'm about to take care of Yahweh's business. Go ahead.
And Agag came on to him delicately, and Agag said, surely the bitterness of death is past. And Samuel said,
Yeah, talk that talk, bro. Talk that talk. See, you can go ahead and talk sweet as diabetes, but this business about to be handled because this ain't Samuel. This ain't Saul, I mean. See, Samuel going to take care of Yahweh's business. See, ain't nobody going to talk him out of taking care of Yahweh's business. Ain't nobody going to woo him. Ain't nobody going to sweet talk him. Ain't nobody going to nothing to get him off of Yahweh's word. Go ahead.
And Samuel said, as your sword has made women childless, so shall your mother be childless among women. And Samuel hewed Agag in pieces before Yahweh in Gilgal. Then Samuel went to Ramah, and Saul went up to his house to Geba of Saul. And Samuel came no more to see Saul until the day of his death. Nevertheless, Samuel mourned for Saul, and Yahweh repented that he had made Saul king over Israel.
So then you have to consider some things here. When Yahweh gives the children of Israel something to do, he tells him to go and do this thing. This was more than just a thing. He has had something against the Amalekites for quite some time. It was now time for the king to do Yahweh's bidding, and he did not do that. So this was not just about him not following an order. No, you made Yahweh into a liar. And that ain't going to work. The word ain't going to step aside so that we can feel good. The word's not going to do that. Now, it's something else that was there that I want to point out too. Let's go back to Numbers 24. Numbers 24, and let's read verses 20 through 22.
Verse 20. And when he looked on Amalek, he took up his parable and said, Amalek was the first of the nations, but his latter end shall be that he perish forever.
Now, we know that Amalek is a part of Esau and Edom. Now, read the next verse.
And he looked on the Kenites, and took up his parable and said, strong is your dwelling place, and you putteth your nest in a rock. Nevertheless, the Kenites shall be wasted, until Asher shall carry you away captive.
Now, you have to wonder when and where did Yahweh want to deal with those things, because those were the first people that Samuel let go. The Kenites were still with the Amalekites. First thing he did before he did anything is he let them go. And you look them up and you find out that they are the people of Moses' father-in-law. So you start to look at some things. Yahweh is dealing with some things that happened generations upon generations before. So whereas people have done their evil, when you look at how Babylon and her business goes, we were talking about the company that had the $1 billion
JP Morgan.
They had the $1 billion dope ship. When you look at how much evil they have done, these people were built from slave money. And they have their hands in everything all over the world. And they believe they have gotten away with everything. But Yahweh just pausing. He's not done. He's going to take care of his business. Let's go to Ezekiel chapter 35.
Ezekiel chapter 35 and verse 1. Moreover, the word of Yah came unto me, saying, Son of man, set your face against Mount Seir, and prophesy against it, and say unto it, Thus says the Adonai Yah, Behold, O Mount Seir, I am against you, and I'll stretch out mine hand against you, and I'll make you most desolate. I will lay your cities waste, and you shall be desolate, and you shall know that I am Yahweh. Because you have had a perpetual hatred, and have shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, in the time that their lawlessness had an end.
Because you have had a perpetual hatred. Understand, there's a perpetual hatred from Esau against the children of Israel. It is deep when somebody hates you so much that they want to be you. I hate you so much, I'll change my name to yours. What? What? What kind of, your hatred is stupid. What? How you hate somebody that much? Go ahead.
Therefore, as I live, says the Adonai Yah, I will prepare you unto blood, and blood shall pursue you.
Right. Esau can't stop fighting. Everywhere they go, they got to fight. It's always blood everywhere they go. Right. Because that is the spirit that you called upon yourself, and this is how you deal, and I'm going to make sure that blood follow you everywhere you go. Everywhere you go, you're going to have to fight. Go ahead.
See, if you have not hated blood, even blood shall pursue you. Thus will I make Mount Seir most desolate, and cut off from it him that passeth out, and him that returneth.
Now, remember now, they ran out of the land of Canaan feeling some type of way. You know, that's what we do. We feel some type of way, and we go on and do our own thing. And then he runs up and gets into these mountains, and Yahweh said, I'm going to run you out of the mountains. So now that place get desolate. They said, well, I want to go back to where I left from. Uh-oh. Now you want to come back to the land of Canaan, which is now Israel, and say, I want to take it back. But he left from it feeling some type of way. Yahweh is poetic when it comes down to dealing with some things. Sometimes you have to sit back and just examine the poetry of him kicking somebody's tail. He was like, oh my goodness, that was poetic how he got up in there. Right. That's what he do. You have to sit down and meditate on why certain things have happened and say, oh my God, that makes sense. Understand what Samuel said. Since your sword have made people childless, the judgment has a connection. It's just Yahweh is so deep in wisdom, you got to sit down and meditate on his punishment to see that it is connected to the things that were done way back. Go ahead.
And I will fill his mountains with his slain men. In your hills and in your valleys and in all your rivers shall they fall that are slain with the sword. I'll make you perpetual desolations, and your cities shall not return, and you shall know that I am Yah.
Right. That's why I got to take somebody else's. See? He done cursed my dwelling place, so I got to go and take theirs. But to take theirs, I got to pretend that I'm them. Well, they done been spread all across the globe. We know they law. They had to teach it to us. So we know that, you know, they're going to be punished and scattered all across the four corners of the globe. Okay. Well, then we just go in there and pretend to be them. They're so far out, they can't come and tell people that we lying. And after a generation or two, our kids going to believe the lies. You teach an infant a lie. By the time that infant get grown, he wholeheartedly believes in that lie. Because that's all he's ever heard. Go ahead.
Because you have said, these two nations and these two countries shall be mine, and we will possess it, whereas Yahweh was there. Therefore, as I live, says the Adonai Yah, I will even do according to your anger, and according to your envy which you have used out of your hatred against them, and I'll make myself known among them when I have judged you.
When I have judged you. Go ahead.
And you shall know that I am Yah, and that I have heard all your blasphemies which you have spoken against the mountains of Israel, saying, they are laid desolate, They're giving us the consume.
Right. So then they come up with a careful little agreement. We'll make sure that Germany loses this war. In return, we want this. Moving in slick deception. Thinking that Yahweh don't see none of their deceptive moves. And he just pausing. Go ahead.
Thus with your mouth you have boasted against me, and have multiplied your words against me. I have heard them. Thus says the Adonai Yah, when the whole earth rejoice, I will make you desolate.
Right. See, now you're talking about a serious problem. It's peace on the earth. Everybody got peace, except you. That means he saw every deceptive move. He saw every straight-faced lie. He saw every bit of it, and he just put it on pause. Now I'm going to give everybody peace, except you. Go ahead.
As you did rejoice at the inheritance of the house of Israel, because it was desolate, so will I do unto you. You shall be desolate, O Mount Seir, and all I doom you, even all of it. And they shall know that I am Yah.
So then you have to consider this in levels then. So Yahweh is dealing with the beginning of the house as a whole, but then even talks about dealing with issues within the offspring of Esau and Edom. Let's go to Obadiah chapter 1.
Next book over.
Obadiah, and we're going to start that at verse 1. Obadiah, real easy to miss.
It's next to Amos.
It's real easy to miss. So some of y'all done went forward and backward and then forward, and then you put it in reverse, and then you turn your book sideways. Ain't no need to turn in the book sideways. It just slow down for a second. It's real easy to miss. Real easy to miss. And y'all know we always, when we have visitors, we want to give all our visitors a warm welcome. And while y'all find that Obadiah, I want to make sure y'all we got a visitor here. His name is Elder Barak. He and I want y'all to give that brother shalom when you see him, because we always, we want to make sure that we tell our visitors, make sure that they feel welcome when they come here. Brother, look familiar though. Look like I've seen him before. But anyway, y'all make sure y'all tell that visitor that we happy to have him here. Go ahead, bro. They say he's from California somewhere, something like that. Yeah. Go ahead, bro.
Obadiah. The vision of Obadiah. Thus said the Adonai Yah concerning Edom. We have heard a rumor from Yah, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise you, and let us rise up against her in battle. Behold, I have made you small among the heathen. You are greatly despised.
I have made you small among the heathen. Here's that issue where they tried to first get everybody to all the Jewish people were allowed dual citizenship, and they told them, come to Israel, come to Israel. They're trying to get as many people. But then when anybody goes there of color, they try to run those people out. They don't want any people. At first, they dealt with the Ethiopian Jews, but they were able to kind of brainwash the first set of them. They don't want no more. Making sure they're giving them drugs to make sure that they can't procreate, so that they can control their numbers, while trying to get all other Jewish people from around the world to come and migrate to Israel so that they can multiply. Go ahead.
The pride of your heart has deceived you. You have dwelt in the clefts of the rock.
See, when you understand Edom and the clefts of the rocks of where they moved to, you understand why Yahweh keeps talking about the clefts of the rocks when he deals with them. You got to understand the geographical location of where they ran to, feeling some type of way, coming out of Canaan. I'm telling you, Yahweh is poetic. You just got to hear the poetry in it. Go ahead.
Whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground?
Right. And why wouldn't you feel this way? When you can do foulness in multiple continents, when you can do like Epstein, you know, deal with all kind of wickedness, and you go to jail, a county jail, and you can leave 6 days a week. What the hell kind of jail is that? 6 days a week? Why would you not think you can control the earth? But that's a conspiracy theory. You can't say that. That's against the law. Shh. Suck, don't say that. Read, bro.
Though you exalt yourself as the eagle, and though you set your nest among the stars, thence will I bring you down, says Yah.
Right. No matter how high you get, I got my sights set on you. You coming down. So you go ahead and get all the money you can get. Enjoy all the luxury that you can possibly enjoy. But me and you got a date. Go ahead.
If thieves came to you, if robbers by night, how are you cut off? Would they not have stolen till they had enough? If the grape gatherers came to you, would they not leave some grapes? How are these things of Esau searched out? How are his hidden things sought up?
Right. You have to find all these secret dealings, these secret being amongst Germany, and then making a secret deal to get them to lose the war while being in their land. And then act like the Germans did something foul to them, while they smiled with their straight-faced deception, being right amongst them, and set them up to lose. And you can't understand why they pissed. Right. Go ahead.
All the men of your confederacy have brought you even to the border. The men that were at peace with you have deceived you.
Right. So now it is going to backfire. All the people you entered into an agreement with, you're going to find out. While you were doing all that lying, they were lying to you too. Is there no honor among liars? No, there's not. And liars don't ever want to be lied to. So he's going to be hurt when he realizes that they lied to him. Go ahead.
And prevailed against you. They that ate your bread have laid a wound under you. There is none understanding in him. Shall I not in that day, says Yahweh, even destroy the wise men out of Edom, and understanding out of Mount Esau, out of the Mount of Esau?
And that's going to be a pretty difficult thing, because they've gotten their hands into everything. But Yahweh will take your gifts. I've seen people who had the ability to do one thing. They turn their back on Yahweh, and their ability to do that thing just dissipates into thin air. And it confuses them. Why can't I do this anymore? Yahweh gave the gift for a purpose. They didn't use the gift for the purpose in which Yahweh gave it. And he took the gift. Go ahead.
And your mighty men, OT man, shall be dismayed, to the end that every one of the Mount of Esau may be cut off by slaughter. For your violence against your brother Jacob, shame shall cover you, and you shall be cut off forever. In the day that you stoodeth on the other side, in the day that strangers carried away captive his forces, and foreigners entered into his gates, and cast lots upon Jerusalem, even you was as one of them.
Right. Herod was an Edomite. When it came down for the other nations to come and do something unto Israel, Esau is always there, helping the invaders. Hey, it's about 10,000 Jews down on the hill. You trying to kill some? That'd be a good place to start. Oh, he's always been amongst making his agreements with other people against Israel. This has been a long time issue. So we think, and the way a lot of people teach this is that, our land was desolate and then these people just moved in. Oh, no. This is perpetual hatred. This is that strange hatred that goes from generation to generation and is passed on. Go ahead.
But you should have not looked on the day of your brother in the day that he became a stranger, neither should you have rejoiced over the children of Yehuda in the day of their destruction, neither should you have spoken proudly in the day of distress. You should not have entered into the gate of my people in the day of their calamity. Yea, you should have not looked on their affliction in the day of their calamity, nor have laid hands on their substance in the day of their calamity.
Right. They were happy for the nations to come in and destroy us so they could lay hold on it. They had already said, oh, we're going to claim this right here. We want them to go ahead and utterly destroy it. I know it's messed up now, but we coming back. We're going to get that. It ain't nothing but investment. You watch people come through the hood and they see all these old dilapidated houses. Boom, they buy it up. They said, why would you pay for that? Wait, it's going to be worth good money in a minute. What you think they was doing when they saw all of those armies come against us? They said, oh, yeah. I know it look bad now. But we're going to get that. They've been planning their deception for a long time. Go ahead.
Verse 14. Neither should you have stood in the crossway to cut off those of his that did escape. Neither should you have delivered up those of his that did remain in the day of distress. For the day of Yahweh is near upon all the heathen. As you have done, it shall be done unto you.
As you have done, so shall it be done unto you. You shall reap what you have sown. What you have planted is what's going to be grown. Simple as that. And what's planted don't grow in the same season. There's a pause in between the planting and the growing. Go ahead.
Your reward shall return upon your own head. For as you have drunken upon my holy mountain, so shall all the heathen drink continually. Yea, they shall drink, and they shall swallow down, and they shall be as though they had not been. But upon Mount Zion shall be deliverance, and there shall be holiness, and the house of Jacob shall possess their possessions.
And they shall be as though they had not been. Yahweh is going to destroy them so much. It's going to be a thing where you're like, okay, so wasn't there some fake Jews here at some time? Don't y'all remember? People like, no, I don't remember. I don't know. But upon Mount Zion shall be deliverance, and there shall be holiness, and the house of Jacob shall possess their possessions. Would I be wrong if I just sent a letter to one of them fake Jews and tell them, hey, could you put a brown sofa in the front of my house? Would I be wrong? I'd be wrong. I'm just saying, I like brown. I'm just saying. I go ahead and decorate my house. I'm on my way. Go ahead, brother.
And the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame, and the house of Esau for stubble, and they shall kindle in them and devour them, and there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for Yahweh hath spoken it.
Right. So before somebody starts sending me, hate mail about how I feel about Esau, send your first email to Yahweh. Now, I don't know his email address, but go ahead and send your first message to him. Make me second, because he is the one that said he hates Esau. So before you try to spam our account, spam Yahweh. See what he thinks. Go ahead.
And they of the south shall possess the mount of Esau, and they of the plain the Philistines. And they shall possess the fields of Ephraim and the fields of Samaria, and Benjamin shall possess Gilead. And the captivity of this host of the children of Israel shall possess that of the Canaanites, even unto Zarephath. And the captivity of Jerusalem, which is in Sepharda, shall possess the cities of the south. And saviors shall come up on Mount Zion to judge the mount of Esau. And the kingdom shall be Yahweh's.
So the kingdom is Yahweh's when judgment is given to Edom. See, there's some things that has to happen. But these two things are synonymous. The judgment of Edom and the redemption of the true children of Israel. And those are things that we have to keep in our mind. And as it is written in Revelation chapter 3 and verse 9, behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. I will make them to come and worship before your feet and to know that I have loved you. That's all that we're going to do for today. Remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.